Alright, so we've just created our brand new project, and now I'm going to go over all the basic areas of the editor that you should be aware of, and also how to navigate and edit your level and stuff like that, just all the basics that you should be aware of. And I should also mention, if you have used Unreal Engine 4 before, a lot of this is going to be very, very familiar. A lot of the engine layout and hotkeys and stuff are almost identical, if not identical, in a lot of areas. So this is just going to be if you have no experience here whatsoever and just need a little bit of direction. So let's get started. So first off, let's just go over the big, beautiful 3D viewport here. So this is the main area that you're going to go to edit your level and play your game. So the way we get around here is by hovering over this viewport with our cursor and then left clicking, and then if we drag while left clicking, we can look around, and then by using the W, A, S, and D keys, you can move around forward, left, backwards, and right. And so by using all those, we can navigate around. And then also, if we hold Q, we'll move down, and if we hold E, we'll move up. So by doing all of this, we can very easily navigate, fly around our entire scene and get any view that we want. Now, as well as just being able to move like this, we can also adjust the speed of our movement. If we go up here into the top right corner, you'll see this little camera icon that says camera speed. So if we click on this, we can actually bring this down, and then we will move very slowly. So if you're working way down on the ground with a bunch of really small props or something, and you just need to get really way up close there and be really accurate, then you can turn this way, way down. Or you can turn this up really far if you're working with an open world map and you need to be able to get super far away and you need to fly around to all these different areas, then that's something that you might want to do. But I'm just going to keep this at 4 for now. That's usually a pretty good speed. All right, so the next thing that I'm going to real quickly go over is view modes. So up here in the top, you'll see all these different tabs. We've got these 3 tabs here. We've got the perspective tab, or it says perspective right now, but it's really just outlining what viewpoint we are in. See, if we go to top view, then it'll show us a top view of our scene, and it changes to top. We go left, right, back. We go to any of these things here, and that's basically that. We also have the default viewport or cinematic viewport. So up here, we've got these tab right here that says lit, and we can switch to all these other view modes. So we can go unlit, so this takes out all of the lighting from our scene and just shows us the materials and textures on all of our objects. We can go to wireframe if you're just trying to see maybe if your LODs are working or something, you might switch to the wireframe mode. We've got detail lighting, which only shows the lighting and it does not show textures or anything. So it's a little bit difficult to see that in this specific scene, since all of these objects are just one color. But that's what this one does here. Lighting only, which is just lighting. Pretty much all these are pretty self-explanatory. We've got reflections, which will just show reflections, collision, and then we also have some more advanced stuff in here that we're not really going to be getting into, but this is just for optimization stuff, so we can view the lighting complexity or shader complexity, and we can use these settings to visualize areas of our scene that might be causing a lot of lag. All right, and then next we have the show tab here, which you're probably going to want to leave exactly how it is. So basically what this is going to do is it allows you to turn on and off various kinds of objects. So for example, we can turn off fog, which isn't going to do too much in the scene since there isn't really much fog. We can turn off decals, we can turn off anti-aliasing, atmosphere. We can turn off basically all of this stuff here. And eventually you can see it's starting to look a little weird. Skeletal meshes, translucency. But if you do end up changing some of this stuff, you can always just go back to use defaults. And that's probably what you're going to want to use most of the time in when you're working in your project. And then before we move on to the next thing real quick, I just want to say that also you've got some hotkeys here to switch between lit, unlit, wireframe, and lighting only, all these. That's by holding down Alt and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 keys. you can switch between all of these. And this can be very useful if you're just real quick trying to go into unlit or something. Just wanted to throw that out there as well. All right, so the next thing in the viewport here is going to be basic level editing. So as you can see, we can left click on any object in our scene, and then you'll see it's highlighted, and we have this little movement widget down here. So we can drag any of these arrows by just left clicking and holding, and then just dragging them around. We can drag on Y, X, Z axes, and we can also move it on multiple axes at once if we grab it on the corner here. So we can also move it on every axis if we grab the center point, and that's all that there is to movement basically. And then if while we have this selected, if we press the space bar, this will actually change the edit mode for this object. So now we've switched to rotation, and once again we can rotate in any direction. And then if we press spacebar again, this will actually change us to scale mode. So now we can scale our object or actor. That's another little tip in Unreal Engine lingo. An actor is basically any object in your scene. So this would be the stair actor. And then if we hit space again, it'll just switch back to the movement widget. So we can just cycle through all of these as much as we want. And that's just a nice, easy way to get stuff around. And also you can delete meshes, of course, with either backspace or delete. And that's about all that there is to that. You may have also noticed that when moving this stuff around, it kind of snaps every so often, rather than being able to move it more incrementally. And so to change that, we can actually go up here to these tabs up top. So this is set the position grid snap value, so we can change how much it snaps by. So we could actually go up to like 100, and now it'll snap at wider intervals. Or we can bring it down, or you just keep it at default. And we can also enable or disable snapping entirely by clicking on the blue icon here. So now we can move it very smoothly at any point in the level. We can do the same thing with our rotation and with our scaling. So we can disable and enable that snapping, or set different snapping amounts. Other than that, we also can manually select the different edit modes here from scale, rotate, move, and select, as well as change our transform mode from world, local, or relative. So like, let's say I was to rotate this, you can see it's scaling on the local axis. And if I hit this again, you can see it changes to the world axis rather than local. All right, so next we have our world outliner up here in this top right corner. And also, real quick before I get into all of these windows here, if you are not seeing one of these windows on your screen here, what you can do is you can just go up to the window tab here on the top, and you can find whatever tab you might be missing. And like, let's say you're missing this world outliner. Let's say that's not there. You can go up here, find the world outliner, and if you just click this, it'll add it into your project. So the world outliner here is just going to give us a full list of every single object in our scene. We can search for specific objects. Like, let's say we were trying to find this left arm static mesh. We can search for that. And we can also double click on any object in the world outliner to focus on that object. So if I want to go to wall 7, I can double click on that, and it'll take me to wherever it is. So once we have all of these different objects selected, we have the details panel right down below here. Once again, if you don't have your details panel, you can go up to the Windows tab and find it. And basically, this is just going to give us all kinds of details and many different parameters for this specific object. Now, different kinds of object are going to have different available parameters, but for just like a cube like this, we can set the material applied to it, and if you enable starter content, then you'll see things like all these different materials here, like this brick material, all this stuff, basic floor, many different things available. We can simulate